Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the new evolutions and upgrades that has just gone live in North America. So, new evolutions and upgrades are always exciting because there is the possibility that an older card that may have been forgotten gains some new relevancy, which is possibly the case here. So, we have new evolutions for Dark Kali, and these evolutions are relatively easy to make. It just requires one of those gigantic, large, or huge gems, so it's not like it's locked behind a specific drop, but the weapon assist you need to have a Quillen Dragon. But either way, for her red form, she is able to have 3 4-attribute awakenings, which results in respectable personal damage, guard break, L shield, and skill boost. So with the L shield, she can take the skill boost plus latent, so that's 5 skill boosts, and then with her super awakening, it can be 7 skill boosts. So a 7 skill boost card is pretty nice to have overall, and her active skill is only a 5-turn cooldown. That gives you a full Awoken skill bind clear, removes ore blocks, and changes the whole board to all 5 colors plus hearts. So, depending on the dungeon you're playing and obviously your team composition, this may be able to function as a great cleric solution for your team and possibly cover maybe awkward colors for rainbow. Now, when I say a partial cleric, it means you have to deal with unmatchable in some way, but of course there is the possibility that you do have another card who does have the ability to clear unmatchable, and in some cases having it across 2 different cards might be beneficial depending on the timing of those respective instances. For instance, Shura 3 on floor 3, there's Heart Unmatchable, then Awoken Skill Bind on floor 4. Sometimes it might be helpful to have 2. As a whole, I think this is quite a powerful evolution. Again, it's a full Awoken Skill Bind clear with strong personal damage and many skill boosts if that's relevant. Or if you don't need that many skill boosts, you can take another 4-attribute awakening to improve their damage even further. For their weapon assist, it gives a god typing, which is helpful for certain teams, but it also gives you a 4-attribute awakening, which is nice, a tape resist, and a 1 second of orb movement time, along with that same active skill. So putting this weapon assist on one of your rainbow cards is a great way to increase the damage, give yourself tape resist, which might be awkward to cover potentially, and an extra second of orb movement time. So it is still a nice weapon assist, obviously for rainbow-oriented teams. And of course, if you don't need it for unmatchable or you put it on a card whose active skill you're never going to touch, it might be helpful. For her blue form, similar idea in terms of evolution requirements. Easy to do the blue form, not as easy to do the weapon assist, a little harder. And for her blue form, she has skill charge plus, so that means it can charge up to 3 turns worth of a cooldown. So this 21 cooldown is now really 7 in theory if you hit all the colors, which you probably are with rainbow-based teams. And for her awakenings, 3 5 attributes is a much bigger damage output than 3 4 attributes, so she does hit hard. But the biggest drawback I feel of the blue form is the active skill. Yes, it's a 7-turn cooldown, and you get a 7x6 board for 3 turns. So I guess in theory, 2 of these are kind of like semi-permanent uptime for 7x6, but is that really something you need? And again, as a sub, is that something you really want to have? Because all it does is the 7x6 increase and then board change. And like board change is cool, but it'd be nice if it solved mechanics. The red form solves the Awoken Skill Bind, which is a notable mechanic which you do want to get rid of. So I feel like this is kind of a little awkward. I'm not 100% sure how we can truly utilize them that well. Their leader skill wants them to match many combos, which is probably why the 7x6 is kind of here. But at the same time, I'm not hugely impressed with this card overall because it's like an active skill that could have been like a leader skill. If her leader skill is 7x6, like, I don't know, it's just a little awkward. And then the weapon assist follows a similar problem, but at the same time, we don't really care about the active skill as much when you think about it, and a long cooldown means it's less likely to charge up. And for the awakenings, it's a 5-attribute awakening and a cloud resist. So 4.5 times personal damage for the card that gains this weapon assist and cloud resist. Can be a great way to bolster your damage output. Maybe in like non-super gravity dungeons, it may not be as magical, and I'm not as inclined to use rainbow and super gravity, but if you are, these types of weapon assists are a great way to at least pad your damage a little bit more, so to speak. And then speaking of damage output, Dark Kali with her new weapon assist, which should be quite easy to make, gives you a 5-attribute awakening and a skill boost, and that same active skill that gives the board changer, but it's 4 turns of haste on a 24-turn cooldown. So it's quite unlikely this is going to charge up when you don't want it to, and if it does charge up, there's probably a reason why you wanted those 4 turns of haste. So as a whole, it's a nice weapon assist when you need more damage and a skill boost and possibly a large amount of haste. For Dark Metatron, similar evolution requirements compared to Kali, and further red dark form, I feel like Gung Ho is kind of trying to subtly push like red dark or dark red cards for crosses. And like we've seen things like Dark Albrich and like cards here and there. It's kind of like the wood red physical TPA meta. Maybe Gung Ho is kind of subtly pushing it, but we don't really have a leader to take advantage of it. Because Dark Metatron here has triple 10 combo, which is great damage output. She has a Cross Awakening, which is helpful for sticky blinds, and a Devil Killer, which may or may not be relevant. The active skill cuts your health in half, but removes the board lock and changes the whole board to Fire, Dark, and Hearts. It's okay. It's a nice board changer, I guess, but it's not necessarily solving mechanics necessarily. So I feel like this could be a little bit awkward to justify inclusion unless you need a damage stick. And their Awakenings could be a Skill Boost Plus or a VDP or another Devil Killer, which may not be as relevant. And again, the leader skill wants you to match Fire and Dark Orbs. So I guess maybe if enough Orb Generators, possibly. Like I said, this is kind of a playstyle Gung Ho is kind of subtly pushing in the background. Because look at this Weapon Assist. Similar idea, like 2 Dark Enhanced Combo Awakenings, 2 Fire Enhanced Combo Awakenings, and that same active skill. So if these types of teams do take off, these Awakenings are obviously going to be desirable to have. For her wood form, like I mentioned, that physical typing, like red wood TPA cards, Dark Metatron, or Woodatron, I guess, is able to kind of function that way with 10 TPAs, which is obviously stupendous amounts of damage, enhanced healing potential, and 4 skill boosts, with the capacity to gain more skill boosts or more healing. So quite a powerful card overall, with a 6-turn cooldown that gives you a massive amount of damage reduction for 1 turn, and 4 combos for 1 turn. Getting a shield is nice because there are so many instances where having a big shield does save you from dangerous mechanics. A lot of spawns when you push them below half health, for instance, will do something rather unpleasant, and this is a nice way to survive through it. And amusingly enough, when like that new Godfist exclusive Millie, I feel like they really want to use 7x6 because it was kind of painful. Like I was just like pad DB just to test out damage, and damage felt kind of frustrating on 6x5, and having a nice 7x6 card may help that out. Obviously the Dark Sub-Attribute's not going to come into play because if I'm not mistaken she takes Dark Orbs away, but you can probably change that with a Sub-Attribute changer, or you just accept the fact that it's not going to have damage from the Sub-Attribute, which is okay I guess, but it gives you that 7x6 to potentially swap into. She can have 6 skill boosts to make it so someone else can swap in. I don't know. I'm still not fully sold on like the red wood TPA meta. Again, I don't really have the cards for it either, so like it's just kind of tinkering in pad DB, and it doesn't feel that magical yet. For her weapon assist, you got 2 team HPs and 2 TPAs with a skill bind resist. This is kind of like a magical weapon assist, I feel, for like Halloween cotton teams, because I tend to build a lot of teams with many Halloween cottons, and skill bind resist is obviously an issue. So this can be a way to add bulk, get your skill bind resist, and some card on your team is gaining significant amounts of damage. Pretty nice aspect overall in that regards, and again, it's that 1 turn of big shielding, which is never going to be a bad thing. For Yuri Shot, she gained a new weapon assist for her dark form. It gives you a skill boost, an L, and 2 enhanced fire, 2 enhanced dark orbs, and is a 3 turns of haste when it fully charges up. So again, if you're playing those dark red teams and you need an L, you need a bunch of skill boosts and haste, this could be a possible solution for yourself. Mieda's weapon assist gives you a 7 combo, team HP, enhanced water combo, and 1 second of orb movement time, so obviously desirable for your mono water teams. And the active skill fully clears all awoken skill binds, all unmatchable, and all enemies' attribute changes to fire. That's obviously desirable, the fire changing for water teams, but you could just still inherit this on your cleric, and your cleric is still going to have a full cleric active skill, but they doubled their damage output, gave some bulk, some movement time. There are quite a few nice weapon assists I feel like that you can just slap on your clerics just to preserve that cleric style active, so clearing unmatchable, clearing awoken skill binds, while giving extra damage so they're actually contributing something meaningful overall is pretty great overall when I think about it. For Saphira, their weapon assist gives a god typing, skill boost, combo orb, 2 light rows. Obviously, it's desirable for like light blob style teams if those are in existence at the moment. And their active skill is a 7x6 board for 1 turn and then 2 turns of haste. Like, it's still a 3 effective skill boost card, so it's all right overall. For Artorias' weapon assist, it gives a red sub attribute, a 7 combo, and 2 fire Rose. This is obviously amazing on mono fire teams, especially when you're matching Rose, because it's a monstrous amount of damage output increase overall for Arterius, so it can be quite desirable in that aspect. And if it does overcharge, you get 1 turn of 100% shield, which is, never a bad thing necessarily. So it's a great way to layer in extra damage, but maybe keeping in his base form if you want an orb changer for row-based teams might be helpful. And then if I'm not mistaken, finally, Gremory has this new evolution where her stats get reshuffled around. She has 6 skill boosts here with the potential to gain the L shield, so that's 9 skill boosts on your cleric, who actually has a large attack stat. Drawback is there are no offensive awakenings, so it's like, yay, you have a cool attack stat, but we can't really take advantage of it necessarily. But your 9 skill boost with full jam resist and a full cleric active skill that clears Bind, Awoken Bind, Unmatchable, and then creates 6 fire and hard orbs. Not good for Seawolf teams, but pretty good potentially for your mono fire teams. And the red sub-attribute's cool, but again, the big attack set's not going to do much when you don't have offensive awakenings. But again, maybe if you don't have the Monster Hunter cards, which got buffed and are coming out soon, she could be possibly one of your highest attack stat cards. And then the last card I want to draw attention to is not this thing. Whoops, Pixel Air. So, Pixel Air received a buff, and it is significant enough to talk about. And Pixel Air can have 4 skill boosts in their base form, well, in their regular awakenings, and then the L shield lets them take the skill boost plus super latent. So 7 skill boosts potentially, so that's obviously desirable. She can have tape resist, but it's the 4 enhanced hard orbs in conjunction with her large healing stat, which enables them to function as a great healing stick for teams that have large amounts of health multiplier, but no recovery multiplier. And their active skill is a 6-turn cooldown that removes all unmatchable orb effects, all bind, all awoken binds, unlocks the board, and changes the top row to hard orbs. So you are a full cleric that solves board lock problems, is going to guarantee pretty much that you're going to heal to full health at the end of that turn because there's 6 hard orbs made at the minimum. So it's a great healing solution for a cleric. It is farmable, so everyone can in theory acquire this card. And again, I find farmables, it's just nice to have. You might want them at some point, but remember, a 7 skill boost cleric is nothing to snuff at that can provide meaningful amounts of healing output. And that being said, those are all the new buffs and upgrades that have been released that are not Monster Hunter cards, because that should be talked in a separate video. So with that being said, let me know what you think about these cards in the comment section down below. Do you think any of these are particularly exciting, and which ones would you be making if they were exciting? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pet adventures. Stay warm out there, and happy puzzling.